I I was a little bit scared that it turned out too small because I did not swatch. Hello, welcome to the Knurlmade YouTube channel. My name is Nunu. I love making things and I have strong feelings for wool. I knit, I spin, and sometimes I sew and quilt as well. I create this little space on the internet to share a few amazing, cozy, woolly moments with you whenever and wherever they happen. Today, I thought I'd film my second podcast episode. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for everyone who has come watch my videos. There have been some really sweet comments and messages that I receive, and I can't believe there's almost 300 of you subscribing to the channel. So that is very, very cool. And I hope we can share more woolly moments from here on out. So today I thought I film my second podcast episode because I've had some whips bound off in the meantime. I've been out sick, unfortunately, for almost 2 weeks. So I hope my voice sounds okay. I got the flu, unfortunately, and I'm on the mend. Now I'm feeling much better, feeling ready to be a little more creative again. So I thought I'd start by sharing what has happened since my last podcast. And today we're also trying out a different setup. I'm in my living room and I'm also using a different gear borrowed from my dear husband. And let me know if this setup feels cozier and nicer, because that's definitely the vibe that we're going for. I hope you're sitting down nice and cozy, maybe with a warm beverage and some knitting projects. Yeah, let's get going, shall we? So let's start with the elephant in the room. I'm wearing my first finished object. This is sweater number 18 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I'm so happy to have this bound off because this is as cozy and as woolly and wonderful as I envisioned it to be. I knit this out of Lion Brand's Fisherman wool. I used almost 2 skeins. These are my only leftover from the 2 skeins. I believe this was 24 grams. So the whole sweater used up 425 grams about. This sweater is the second incarnation of the stitch pattern. I mentioned in my previous episode, I actually knit this based on the jacket number 1 pattern, which is the cardigan version with the same stitch pattern, which I have right here. This is my jacket number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit this super oversized using Drops Nepal in the pink color. It has a lot of pill right now because it's worn almost daily. This is definitely one of my most worn make. I knit this during my postpartum days with my first child, and this project brings a lot of comfort while knitting and afterwards. So I was very happy with it, and I thought I make a sweater version from yarn I have in my stash, and this is the result. So I modified the jacket number 1 pattern, which was written as a cardigan, to be a sweater with crew neck. And how I did that is that while I was shaping the neckline, I increase. So after picking up the shoulder stitches, I increase quite rapidly, definitely more rapidly compared to the cardigan, because you see it has like this V-neck cut. So I increase it a bit more quickly after picking up the shoulder, and then after some time I casted on the stitches to join the crew neck, and then continue working in the round from then on. And anything else I followed according to pattern. I added a few rows on the sleeves and the body because it was quite scrunched up on the needles as I was working with it. Now it ends, the sleeve ends pretty close to my wrist, and then the body ends right at my hip. I can show you now real quickly how the fit is like. So this is definitely not as oversized as the sweater is advertised in the pattern page and then the pattern photos. I measured this to be almost 100 centimeter or 40 inches in circumference, which would give me almost 20 centimeter or 8 inches of positive ease. So it's not quite as oversized as my favorite things knitwear showed, but this is a really nice and cozy fit already. And given that I only have 20 grams of leftover, I think this is probably the biggest size I could knit out of what I have. And I knit this with 5mm needles for the body and 4.5 for the ribbing parts. And then while I was knitting it, it looked really small. It was crunching up quite heavily, and I was, maybe this was one of the reasons why it took me so long to pick up that last sleeve and continue knitting it, because I was a little bit scared that it turned out too small because I did not swatch. It turned out a bit too small maybe, or it doesn't fit me. But trust the process, right? I know that knit and purl stitches could look quite tight as you're knitting it, and they could relax quite a lot when white blocking. So I'm glad I leaned into my experience, how I know yarn would behave, and I continued and I wet blocked it, and now the fit is amazing. I love it. I love it. And now the weather is turning. The weather is getting a bit warmer, so maybe I won't get as much wear out of this anymore this year. But nevertheless, very, very cozy and living up to the woolly comfort that I envisioned this to be. So that's my first finished project. This is then my second new sweater of the year. I do not expect to be knitting much more. So I casted this in winter last year. So it took longer than it should because I took my time with it. I was working on other things and I didn't feel a need or a rush to have a new sweater. I'd rather enjoy the project as I was knitting it and doing it when I want, instead of rushing to have a finished new sweater. And I'm glad I did that. The other thing I finished is the socks I knit for my mom. Here they are. So this also got finished quite quickly after I showed it in the last episode, because it was just missing a little bit of the foot and the toe. And this is also knitted in worsted Aran weight yarn. So as you can imagine, it worked itself up quite fast. Right now it might look like it has a weird proportion, but I think it's because of the 2x2 rib, making the top part a little bit more cinched in then, and it would relax, I think, as you wear it. So yeah, the yarn is a farm yarn that I got during my visit to Montafon, Austria, and it washes up so nice. It becomes spongy and warm, and I think this is perfect for socks. Might be itchy as a sweater, but definitely feels robust and warm. And yeah, I think it's perfect. I have a bit of a leftover, which I would try to incorporate because I have a few other balls of yarn of a similar type in gray and green. So I think brown would fit quite nicely as a color work combo, perhaps. So looking forward to have her try this on, and hopefully it fits and it can keep her warm during her visit. This is the sock I knit for my mom in anticipation for her visit to Europe. I don't get to knit as much woolly stuff for her because she lives in a tropical area. So I think socks is very versatile and she can easily take it whenever she goes to somewhere a bit colder. Yeah, so that's my second finished object. Wow, very productive. So that leaves us with one more project, which is still on the needle, and that's the birthday sweater I'm knitting for my husband. So as a little refresher, this is the sweater pattern from Rowan magazine, number 58. It's called Mersea, and it's designed by Carlo Volpi. This uses slip stitch pattern in mosaic knitting to showcase like a really interesting texture all over the sweater. And I'm knitting it from the outside in the round, which is a mod I did because the pattern is supposed to be knitted flat. But I thought it's much easier to do it in a round, so I did. And this is the sleeve as I'm knitting it. And then once it's turned inside out to show the right side out texture, it'll look like this piece right here. Yeah, I'm knitting this out of Istex Plotulopi, which is the Icelandic unspun yarn in sport weight-ish, and then pairing it with the handspun yarn that I spun up a few years ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, which is using Blue Face Leicester and Camel Blend from Hilltop Cloud. And these are the contrast color, and yeah, this is how it manifests in the fabric. So I finished the second sleeve, and I'm well on my way with the body of the sweater. This looks pretty small. Another one of those I hope blocking will fix it kind of moment, which seems to be a theme. But here's the body of the sweater. I think I got about maybe 20 centimeter here, and this takes a really long time to work up. This is the result of hours and hours and hours of knitting and prioritizing it over other whips. So I hope I can get this done in time. The birthday is at the end of March, so I have 3 weeks left, maybe 3.5. Fingers crossed I can get it done in time. So right now it's quite simple and potato chippy until the joining of the body and the sleeves. Yeah, so this is knitted bottom up, which is not, people are not a huge fan of this construction, but I actually find it could be quite nice, because especially if you start with the sleeves, you could get an idea of texture and your gauge of the pattern rather quickly. It also works up very fast, and then you get rid of sleeve island from the beginning, so you don't have to slog through it after the yoke is constructed or the body is finished. And then you get to finish with the epic part of knitting the yoke, which would be an interesting challenge, I guess, for this pattern, which I'm looking forward to. Look forward to reaching that point, and I think as soon as I start working on the yoke, I would be a bit more relaxed, because then I get to, then it's like, then my estimate for how much longer the project would take might get better, because now I really feel like I'm panicking a little bit. I want to make sure I get it done in time. And just because the body is working around front and back at the same time, it really does take some time to see progress. And yeah, really just want to make sure that I prioritize this for the month of March. So let's move on to spring plans and acquisition, maybe. I've surprisingly welcomed quite a lot of addition into my stash this month. My husband went on a trip to the United States, Philadelphia to be exact, and he did bring me some souvenir yarn, which was very nice and generous of him, and I have it right here. It is hand-dyed yarn from Thirsty Cat Designs by Kelly Straub. This is DK weight, 100% superwash merino, and it has a really nice warm neutral colors, a little bit of gray, a lot of brown and mauve, and cream color. Looks like maybe that's maybe the natural color of the yarn. And yeah, beautiful. He picked the color himself, which I thought is very sweet. He definitely knows my color preferences based on the yarn stash that I keep in our living room. So yeah, I'm thinking of doing some stash dive to find contrast color for these, because I think with another 100 gram, I probably would be able to get a full sweater's quantity. Otherwise, this could be maybe a shawl. I like the idea of knitting shawls, but I'm not the best shawl wearer. Um, yeah, so, or it could be a child sweater, which uses two, and another one could be a hat. Yeah, so decisions. But yeah, I find it very sweet that he brought this over for me. Also, before his arrival, I managed to do a bit of online shopping and have it delivered to his hotel for him to bring back to me. I thought long and hard about what would be fun to order, and I decided that what I really wanted is to try sheep breeds that are almost impossible to find here in Germany or Europe where I live. And I decided on Navajo Churro and California Variegated Mutant. Here I have the CVM Home Top wool roving, the CVM wool roving from the Ross Farm. And it's 4 ounces, $20, which I find which is a bit more expensive than I usually go for. But I'm really curious about this breed because I've heard a lot of good things about it. And upon first inspection, to me, this reminds me a lot of Rambouillet or Polworth. It's very spongy, very springy, a lot of crimp. So I think it would make for a really bouncy and airy yarn. And because of the natural white color, I'm thinking of maybe doing some natural dyeing on it beforehand in fiber form, because I just find that I like the color effect that I could achieve better when I dye the fiber in the wool as opposed to the yarn. And I don't buy a lot of white yarn, but I do have a lot of natural colored fiber that I spin. So that's why this would be perfect for natural dyeing. The other one, the Navajo Churro fleece that I ordered also arrived in time, fortunately, and it's beautiful. It's first clipping of the lamp, I believe, and it's from Areola Sunshine Farm. Unfortunately, I seem to have lost the cute cards with the sheep on it that they sent with the fleece. I'll also insert a close-up of the fleece so you can see the beautiful texture that it has. So it comes in a bag like this, and it's pretty clean. It's cleaner than I expected it to be. It's also very soft. So Navajo Churro is a dual coated fleece, and you can see that in this kind of triangular shape of the lock, because the top contains both the undercoat and the inner coat, which are the inner coat is shorter in length and the outer coat is usually a bit coarser and longer. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing with this. I will be reading up on how to best process this. I've worked with Icelandic fleece before, which is also a dual coated sheep, and there I blended together using my drum carder. So I think I'll probably do the same. I don't think I'll be separating the coats because both feels quite soft. So I don't think there's any need to do that. And because of the short staple length of the inner coat, I think carding would be the better option. But I will have a read and make sure that I do the fleece justice in the process of converting it into yarn. Oh, right, I have one more yarn acquisition, which I already kept in my yarn stash over here. And this is, I bought this at the local yarn store that we visited in a neighboring city in Neuss. The yarn store is called Schweizer Stübli, I believe. And this is Lana Grossa Tresetta, which contains silk, baby alpaca, and merino. And I picked this crazy color, which is color number 18. Yeah, so I have 300 grams of this, which would be more than enough for a top or a shawl if I want to. Or, yeah, probably some kind of summer top. Yeah, so the color is just so beautiful, and then you can see that the yarn has a really nice sheen to it from the silk content. And I think because of the alpaca and the silk, and this will also have very beautiful drape. So looking forward to working with that. Lastly, I want to talk a bit about my knitting plans for spring. So in terms of new next cast-ons, I've eyed a few patterns that I want to be working on next. The first thing that I've been thinking of casting on is Tenya by Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Works. And I've knitted a Tenya before with Madeline Tosh single ply yarn, very soft, and I really liked it. It's very feminine silhouette with a really nice lace detail at the bottom. And in my stash, I have this merino silk blend from Papi Put Yarns, who is a yarn dyer from Indonesia, where I'm from. So that's very cool. I got 2 balls, 100 grams during my last visit home. I can show you the skein real quick. So this is one skein. I have 2 of them. Beautiful. I think this would make a really beautiful tenya. Another one by Caitlin Hunter is the Alpine Bloom. This hasn't been in my radar for some time, but recently I saw it on one of the podcasts, and I thought the floral pattern is very beautiful, and it seems to be great for handspun yarn. So I might be doing some stash diving for that. It's also short sleeve with some lace detail around the neck and the hem. So that's very, very intriguing, and the opportunity of using handspun yarn is always welcome. Another beautiful pattern I've been eyeing is the Faye Summer Top by Irene Lynn. And this is such a romantic, beautiful, dreamy design with a lot of ruffles, some texture, bubbles, cables, lace. So you have it all. And the pattern page really showcases this beautiful design. I'm the only thing holding me back is I don't know if it actually fit my style. So I definitely love how it looks, but I'm not sure if it's something I would actually go for often enough. So that's why I'm just at the admiring stage now and not yet committing to casting it on. The other one I want to try out is the Weddle Top by Paula Pereira, and this has a nice zigzaggy cable texture with low contrast stripes. And I think it's a very beautiful design. It's a nice fitted top and would look great with a little more looser, baggier jeans maybe, or a dress underneath. So I'm eyeing that as well. The other one is Bolan by Leila Raven. This is a contender for the same silk merino yarn. This would either be, I think, a Bolan or a Tenya. I just have to decide. Bolan has a lace feature around the shoulder as opposed to on the hem. Very, very delicate, very, very dainty. So yeah, either one of those two, I think I would definitely be casting on. And lastly, a pattern that I've had in my library for a while is the Ridgeview Tea by Carrie Bloomer. And I purchased this also a long time ago because I especially love this V design that she has on the chest. And I also love the fit of the sweater, the fit of the tee. I think for this one, maybe I want something with a bit more structure, a little bit more body that can hold itself as opposed to something very drapey. Maybe something woolier would suit this one better. But yeah, I really love the silhouette and the V design on the chest. And lastly, I think I really would like to make use of all of my fiber share fiber this year, and I have this one skein, 100-gram skein of linen yarn, or 50-gram maybe. So I thought maybe I look for a nice market bag pattern that I can knit this with. And right now I'm eyeing the market bag by Davina Choi. It's a very simple lace mesh pattern with garter stitch handle, and it has quite a few hundred projects on Ravelry, and they all look very, very nice. It's also a free pattern, so I think that could be a good choice for accessory cast on this spring summer. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me. I hope you made some good progress or just enjoy a little bit of some cozy moments. If you like what you see here, maybe you want to check out everything I knit in 2024. Could be fun. Thanks for sticking around. See you next time. Bye. Tschüss.